I want to touch again upon this. So your new album, it's called A Lonely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before that you have been developing as a sound engineer, and that you work on pretty much all of your stuff alone. And in fact, you brought in a camera into the studio, and that you're working on music videos. Does that all tie together? This because most musicians we chat to in here have a lot of collaborators or bands that they work with.
Yeah.
And does that control tie into the theme of this album?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question, actually, because that's one of the biggest parts, I reckon. And like I should have mentioned earlier, but it affects like everything. So it's the one minute, you know, you're a singer, you're a guitarist. Oh, now I'm a producer as well, so I end up producing all the stuff, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna mix it as well, and then I'm gonna do this as well, and then so yeah, like I'm a videographer, I'm a photographer, I do my album art, I do all this stuff, but then again, you know, like it's all very possible for people to do these days as well. Yeah, it's kind of killed the industry of, you know, I need to get a publisher. Well, you just go on Facebook, or you could just you know, figure out the algorithms, you'll be right. But I've done all of that as long as I've ever actually written my own music. I've always done it. So it's just really normal for me right now.
And so where can people pick up the album, basically?
You can get it anywhere. You can get it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere, basically. It's out on all sort of mediums. And
yeah, so your videography, you're working on music videos. How's that been?
It's been like somewhat of a challenge. Okay, I'll state the first thing is that you need to have a powerful computer. You need to have a good idea of what you're shooting as well. So like, you know, you have to make sure that the product is good in the beginning, because you really can't fix it later. There's all kinds of things as well. If you're going to like do what's called letterboxing, which is where you get that cinematic sort of look with the black strips on the bottom and the top, you got to make sure that you've made enough room for that while you were actually shooting it. Otherwise, you're going to cut the top of your head off, or like, you know, whatever's down lower. So you actually have to be thinking ahead every time you're actually planning to film.
It was Peter Nick there, live in the studio.
We're live.
We are live.
And it's early. Maybe not for you guys, for me.
But yeah, not for much longer. Well, Peter, Nick, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Not a problem.
And once again, people can you know, keep up with your stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, just find me anywhere. I mean, look, as we know, as artists, you know, we've got to spray ourselves everywhere so that we can be found. So.